All right, so welcome. This session is really about why did we as Alfred State kind of decide that we needed to develop a template, and then how are we using it, and how does that affect the accessibility of our classes? So you are going to be doing some work, like I said, make sure that you have somebody close that you can chat with. But the first thing I wanted to do is take a few items from what our presenters talked about this morning to sort of set the stage. And to tie in their keynote addresses to why this is such an important topic for us. So 504 really set up that higher ed is also responsible for being accessible. And then 508 is really kind of starting to explain how do we need to be accessible. But of course it doesn't cover everything. And then we have WCAG, WCAG 2.0, and that is really talking about web accessibility, which if we're teaching online classes, if we're using any kind of web-enhanced content, then that all sort of falls under that. It also applies to our marketing departments, it applies to our web design, technology services, it's everything. So we as an institution now are really held more and more accountable for being accessible. And that's sort of under the law. Then Whitney's session talked a lot about kind of universal design for learning and how what we do for one student or what we do for a small group of students will actually help everyone. So to kind of change our mindset, or at least shift it a little bit into thinking about how can we enhance our class to really benefit everyone and not think of it so much as doing all this work for one student. And that's something that you and Whitney were actually just talking about at lunch. Tom was saying that you talked to your faculty about how that's really something important to think about, that anything that we can do can help more and more students. And it just gives different ways that people can learn and different modes that they can learn the same material. So with that being said, I want us to start thinking about the challenges of teaching online or using web-enhanced features in our classes. And I want you to take out a piece of paper, find a partner, and brainstorm. So everything that you can think of, all the reasons basically not to do it. That's what I want us to write down. Not to go online, not to use web-enhanced. So all the challenges, the things that we run into, the concerns maybe that we have. Yeah, not considered template, just in general. Yep.
Sometimes traditional lecture paper, an industry.
I mean, it's possible that all students don't apply to technology. I mean, the science is not that easy, of course.
Take about 30 seconds to sort of finalize.
Career is alive.
To acclimate it to more
Is it possible are there courses or certificates that require
That's my story.
I didn't hear it. I'm sure it's a good one. I'm sure it's a good one. Okay. So now, with that list that you've created of all the reasons why not to do it, I want you to, with your partner or your group, think about the top 3. So what are the 3 major challenges that you really think are reasons why you maybe wouldn't do it, or maybe your colleagues, the ones that you hear commonly? So your top 3.
Technology.
About 15 seconds.
No, it's just referencing.
Finalize your top 3.
And then I think the third one is like something
All right.
No figure.
Okay, so you've had some time to think about all the reasons why we shouldn't do it, and you've come up with your top 3. So can we just go around the room and have the group share what we came up with? So we'll start up here, and we'll just kind of come around here.
We
Go ahead.
said technology can be unreliable.
Unreliable technology, okay.
Higher barrier to entry for students who may not have access to technology or have that experience.
Okay.
And it's more front-end work.
More front-end work for the faculty member, or is that where, okay, that's where that was coming from. Good. Great, thank you. Our next group?
So,
So we said that the retention is less in an online course. Some activities are just meant for face-to-face, can't really be taught online, and the cheating aspect of it.
Okay, so cheating can't be taught, certain content. As a sidebar, I teach public speaking online. So just think about that for a few minutes, and we can always talk about it later. All right, our front group here.
Yeah, we talked about it's not mandated, so why would I do it? So it's part of the culture.
Okay.
Number 2 was the workload involved, and number 3 was the workload involved.
So the workload of teaching the whole thing and the workload of teaching
In terms of,
process.
I've been teaching for 23 years, right? So when I first started teaching, I had a legal pad filled with don't forget to say this, do that. I think similar for most of us who've been in the classroom. Fast forward 10 years, I might have had an index card. Fast forward to now, I just walk in and kind of wing it because I've got all 14 different elements that I could say at any given moment in my head. I have those experiences. For online, it puts me back into the legal pad full of notes area, and that's something for which many faculty members are not real comfortable, being in that learner's chair.
Right, okay. Good. All right, our next group.
I would say engaging and motivating online students. And what they said, you get online students who say, how do you attach something to an email? Seriously, you sign up for online?
So some of the technology proficiencies,
Yeah.
it can be a challenge. Yeah, okay, using the technology. Absolutely. Did you have another one, or you're good? Yeah.
I can add, people disagree with me, but it's different teaching an online program versus teaching one course. It's totally different. If there's an entire program, so you have to look at the whole thing in a comprehensive way. It's very different.
Right, so you're not doing your own thing in your own classroom for an hour, 3 hours every week. It's a little different when you're having to kind of make it flow from one to the other, and students have different expectations too, right? For online. Okay, great, thank you. Next group?
Lack of personal interaction, time restrictions. You are locked into a certain week and you can't, it's very hard to alter,
Right.
move it around. And then the course integrity.
What was that last one?
Course integrity.
Course integrity, okay. Yep, which was also mentioned there. Good. And our last group?
I don't have a whole lot to add. We had time, basically we meant workload there. The expense, I don't think anybody's mentioned that, but this is an institutional, it can be expensive. And then we talked about unfamiliar technology, and technology that is not familiar to faculty and to students, also that doesn't maybe mesh particularly well.
Absolutely. So right now, like, you have to make events. Why? We can just stop, right? There's no reason to go any further.
See ya.
No. So with all these challenges, why do we still decide that we need to teach online? And why are our students still coming to our online programs?
It's a wave of the future.
Why is it the wave of the future?
Because they can't come here, they're already working, and so they.
Right, so it helps us reach our non-traditional populations,
Yep.
it helps us reach our students that might not come here. I mean, Alfred, those of you who traveled here, you probably realized, we don't really have a whole lot around us. I mean, it's a good thing for me, I mean, I love it, but not everyone really enjoys that, so it becomes a challenge, right? Sometimes it's a marketing initiative that you want to get your name out there, and how can you do that? You can do it through offering some online courses. So there's a lot of different reasons why we should do it. To me, I think it really should be something that helps the core of our business, right? It helps the core of our programs, and it helps the core of what we're trying to do, our mission statement. So if we have programs that we can put out there, and our students will really be helped, and we'll reach more students, that's a good goal. That's something that I can get behind and be a part of. Does anybody really disagree with that? Okay, so now
You can make it much more simplistic. A
Go for it.
instructor, if you want to keep your job, you will do this.
yeah, I mean, right, but I don't want to make anyone feel like they're being forced to do it. I mean, certainly you have a choice, right? And if our institution has chosen to go down this path, which we have, then now we need to figure out how we're going to do it and do it well as a team.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I-
Go ahead.
I understand that tension. I mean,
Yeah.
I got into it because it allows me to feed that social justice side of myself. I can use online teaching to reach out to students whom we would serve poorly or not at all, perhaps. But that's not a real kicker for a lot of my colleagues. And so for a lot of my colleagues, the advantage is, let me show you how teaching online can actually save you time, save you effort, that you do the work up front, and then it's in the can, and you can focus on the things that brought you into teaching in the first place, which was the interactions with the students.
Absolutely.
I hope that's where you're going.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it can definitely free up time for those kinds of things. And depending on how we do it, we can actually have that interaction, which is one of your major concerns, right, Joe? How do I interact with my students, and how do I still feel like I know them at the end of the day? Joe and I have had conversations about how do you write someone a recommendation letter if you really don't know who they are. So one of the challenges for us in designing our online courses is to make sure that we really know who our students are when they leave their program. So I'm going to run through really quickly just an outline of the template that Alfred State has come up with. So there was an ad hoc committee that was put together, and they spent lots of time. This is actually like the third rendition. It's been piloted through, I think, 3 or 4 semesters now. And do we have, were any of you on the committee that did it? No? No? Okay.
Speak freely.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, because it really sets up a great model for us. And one of the really big reasons for having a template is because it allows our students to address some of that challenge that they have the first times that they log into a class. If things are in the same place, then they don't have to figure out how you organized your class. They can now dive right into the content because they know where to go. So after they've done it in 1 or 2 classes, it's good. And through the rest of the program, they have a lot less challenge finding things. So we started, all of our students come into an announcements page. And we added in an important information tab for the students. And this is a general course navigation tutorial video. Because we have the template, things should generally be in a similar place. So now our students can watch a quick video and know generally where things are. We also have information up here about how to succeed in an online class, technical information, which will link them to our help desk if they can't find what they need, and then our different student services. So now everyone who teaches an online class has all this pre-populated for them, which is great. And it's one less thing to kind of stress about. Then we have our discussion boards, which is one of our pieces of interaction that our faculty use heavily here. So we incorporated that as its own link right into the top menu. We have a syllabus because that's usually the first thing that our students are looking for. When they first get into the class, they want to see the syllabus, they want to know what they have to do. So we have our syllabus link, which is right there. The calendar, which will populate anything with due dates in it for any of the courses that they have. So it's a nice tool that they can have. They can click right on it. It will take them to the assignment. It also has semester dates on there that are institutional. So it has the drop date on there, last date that they can drop a class. It has information about the end of the semester and midterms. So they have that stuff that's really automatically created for you and for them. And then each of our modules, 1 through 15, are set up the same way. We have our student learning objectives and outcomes. So what's the point in me doing module 1? Well, if you want to know what the point is, you'll go into our student learning objectives and find it. So this is what you're supposed to get out of it. Then our course materials folder is going to be everything that's content that students need to do or read or really have access to kind of work through what they need to. The assignments folder is going to be anything that's our sort of formative assessment, where they might still be learning while they're doing it. So it might be a reading quiz that's just, just checking to make sure that they have read. It might be something that is like a mini project or a reflection or something that it's an assignment, it's about their learning, but it's not a midterm or an overarching project or something like that. So it's going to be your quick little check for understanding kind of things. Your discussion and interactive activities are going to be things like your discussion boards, your wikis, anything if you ask them to go out and find a video and post it back to the class. So these kinds of activities are going to be maybe students interacting with students as an interaction, but it might be them interacting with you as the faculty member. So maybe it's a reflective journal that they do. That might still go in interactive activities because it's your direct interaction with each and every student that's in your class. And then our assignments or assessments and evaluations are sort of those big projects, the culminating where they're showing you, I learned something. So it might be a midterm, might be a final exam, might be an end of unit exam if you just have multiples of those. It might be a final project or a midterm project that they're working on. So it's something bigger than just a quiz or something that you're just checking for understanding. So every single one of our modules has these folders, and the student should be able to pop into them and find what they need. Then we have My Grades, which is where students can go check their grades. Help for students, if they need any extra help. The Faculty tab, well, I don't have anything loaded in here, but this is where they have your contact information. So it's right there. If they need to email you, if they need to call you, it's there. And in my course, I actually have a picture of me too, so they can know what I look like if they see me passing in the hall. Then there's also an email which will take them where they can choose if they need to email the whole class, or maybe they need to email their group or something. They can email from here as well. And then Supplemental Resources, which is kind of those extra resources that you want them to have, but they're not necessary for the course. So it might be those that want to extend their learning. If someone's really excited about your content, what else can they go read or what else can they go see? The other side of that is if students need more help. It might be some remediation that they can go, or some extra activities, or someone giving a lecture a little differently than you do from another institution that you found online. So it's sort of the alternative options that are extra for them to do. They're supplemental to the actual coursework. Do you have a question, John?
Yeah, back to the email.
Yeah.
If we use that email, is that Outlook or is that using the school email address?
So the email here, when you click on it,
Yeah.
will go to everyone's Alfred State email account, but it won't show up in your sent email. You'll just get a copy of it that you sent it.
Okay, so it's not, Outlook, it's not Microsoft Outlook that.
Right, it won't open it. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, because that actually is pretty good, because this whole time I've been closing this, going and open emails, and sending them an email.
Right, yeah, you can do it right
Right
through
on
here,
the screen.
absolutely.
Joe, but if you're looking for one of those emails, it's addressed to you,
So it will show up into my faculty email.
under your name, like it was sent
Yes.
to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I wouldn't find it here, I'd have to open up my emails and see it.
Yeah, and if you're looking for an email to a specific student,
Right, that's gonna
It's
be
not-
in your email account.
but it's gonna show under my name, not the student's name.
Right, because you emailed it to them. Yeah, from Blackboard.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
So it can be hard to find stuff.
Blackboard is like the old postal forwarding office.
Yeah.
Right. That just kind of moves it forward. So, and then the other thing that's in Supplemental Resources is you can notice that it's not available. It's not available to students. This is the SUNY Co-Oscar rubric, and actually, I think the next session, yeah, Dan Feinberg is doing a little session on that as well. So the Oscar rubric is actually what we have adopted for our course review. So if anyone wants to go in and take a look at it, you can certainly do that. The great thing that I think about the Oscar rubric is that there's a tab for faculty, so if you want to go in and sort of go through it yourself, and then there's also a different tab for instructional designer, so I can go in and do my thing, and then we can have a good conversation about what we agreed on and what we maybe need to sort of come to a compromise on for what needs to be, updated, and we can create an update plan and things like that. So it really has great features in it. So little shameless plug there for their session. All right, so I'll go back here. So now I want us to think of, you're gonna have to partner up again. Think of ways that, given what the keynote speaker said this morning, what you've seen just from this really brief, quick tutorial, and what you might know about accessibility, what challenges can using this kind of a template actually address? So just the template format, what are some positive things for students or for faculty that might come out of using a template? So go ahead, take about a minute.
I think it ensures that, especially for students who are left-hand navigation like they do for course.
It's like, a lot of it's about literacy to know when you're going to get it.
But also, you know what?
This template?
Set it up more
No, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
So the content that you're putting into
A lot of the
it
upfront.
still has
And I think it falls under piece regards as well, and also
Government said it's prepared for this course.
These were the best others when I was.
Yeah, you're fine.
I thought it was
For announcements, like just regular announcements, you can type it right in, or you can copy and paste it right in the email.
Of course, there's some problems.
Right. So then it should work. Yeah. It's the, like if you do upload a file, you do, so that's
Yeah, like one of the big ones about
sometimes it's but so if you're watching it, it has like a button, turn it on, see if those work.
And the information you tell
And if they're not, so it works to make them. Most of the videos that we have, you can actually edit most, some of them shut it down, so they know, I think, but a lot of videos you can actually edit, so it's not hard.
One of the changes I have is
Yes.
I mean, I guess.
All right, take about 30 more seconds.
Because I know in the old version, I was like, of course, content is organization, you know,
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm sure
So I know.
here it's very clear where you should go. So clear for
All right. Let's wrap that up. And if you could choose a spokesperson from your group. Pick who's going to talk.
Tom will go first.
And then, okay, so we'll start up here. Okay. All right, so Tom will go first. We're going to share, and you can share your top 2 or 3. I have a feeling that these lists might be a little bit shorter. Is that true?
Since I'm volunteer.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so go ahead and share your top 2 or 3.
So it's a learn once structure. So once students figure it out for one course, they don't have to relearn it for another one. I heard somebody talking about with programs, that's another advantage too, that the similarity goes through the program. They learn it at the beginning of the program and not. And there's also less setup work for the faculty member. If you know these are the kinds of general things, you have places to plug your stuff into. And also just some continuity for the course. Those students who have a challenge with due dates and things Joe was talking about, you know, it opens at midnight on this date and closes 11:59 on this date. So it provides that continuity and structure for students.
Absolutely. Should we go this way or that way?
Ditto.
This way?
Yep.
All right, let's go for our ladies.
We were talking about a problem.
Oh no! Well, share that with us too, because it apparently was important. So tell us about it.
So the purpose of this is so the student has less clicking, but do they really? Because the way my courses are set up now, and our whole program is set up similar, we just didn't have these particular things. A student would read a lecture, maybe see a video, look at PowerPoints, do the textbook reading. Then the assignment would be something, a quiz or an exercise or something, and then they would submit. And we don't just teach one lecture per module or per week.
Right.
So now they have to go find the course material, do it, then they have to go find the assignment associated for that module. And then if I have a real assessment, they go down to the assessment evaluation. The question that was posed in my email.
Right.
How is that less clicking, and are they gonna, you know, now it's all grouped together in one place. You do the reading, you do the PowerPoint, you do the video, you do this, do the assignment.
Right.
Now they have to go out and in, out and in, out and in. And I'm sure they're gonna get confused with this lecture, with this assignment versus that quiz, because
Right. You look eager to say something, Tom. Go ahead. No? Oh, no, I mean, you
No,
can.
at our institution, that's why we made 2 templates. And Blackboard actually, and those of us who remember previous versions of it, did exactly that and cheesed off a lot of faculty members, because there's 2 different ways, at least, that you can think about how to structure a course. One is structuring it by time. Your major folders or units are week 1 or unit 1, unit 2, and then inside of those are things to do. Read it, discuss it, take a quiz, do, as you're talking about. The other way is by topic or by themes. So you have the major elements of the course, and this used to be Blackboard, which was this documentation, discussion, interaction, take a quiz, those kinds of things. And then inside that was week 1, week 2, week 3, and so on and so forth. For some subjects, doing it topically and having a time inside isn't a better way to do it. I have yet to find those professors. At the same time, we do have the 2 different kinds of templates at our institution because of that. They're precisely the same thing you're talking about. So it is something to think about at the level of design. Think about how your professors in the program actually teach it. And you're thinking about this too here.
Absolutely. Yep. And so to answer your question, I would never say it's less clicking. Okay? For me, it's more organized and more succinct organization for all of our students. The other piece about accessibility that's critical to realize here is that if all of our courses are set up this way, students who have to use keyboard tabbing will know that module 1 is always going to be here. Once they click into it, assignments is always going to be 3 tabs down. So for students who are moving through it with some sort of mobility or that are using some sort of keyboard access, that makes a huge difference for those students to always know sort of how many tabs it takes to get to something. Go ahead.
Our program was set up, and all our classes in our program, for the most part, are set up by units. And then within units, you have, so they click on the unit, then they click on the learning lab, did all the stuff that the kids did. Then, including the exam or whatever. Then the next unit, we also gave them, because our students, the typical age, the average age of my students is 40.
Right.
So they didn't have to have it done in a week. They could manage some time over a 4-week period instead. Weeks later, work out what's on their modules.
Absolutely. Okay,
Well,
go ahead and then we'll get these two. Yep.
When you go into assignments, how do you know there's 3 assignments in there or 3 different things they want you to do? If you're visually impaired and you do everything by tab, does it tell you? Is there screen reader?
Right, so there is a screen reader, yep, that will
Okay.
tell you what's in there. So you can do it that way. The other thing I think we need to remember too is that our syllabus is really important. So like I said, I teach public speaking online. I just redesigned my public speaking class into this template because I wanted to be able to say that I also use it. So it took me about 5 hours to reorganize and redesign everything. But what I ended up with was I think that it actually flows much nicer now. It did cause me to rethink the way that I do some of my assignments and the way that I chunk some of my information. But it didn't take away any of the content from my course. Go ahead.
Would a possible solution for your problem be some sort of customization, like this group is all yellow and this group is all blue or something like that, so that they can see
Yeah, I mean,
visually
we really
the
should sit
difference?
down and see how your content can fit into this. Or if it's really impossible to fit into, then maybe we need to have that conversation because you are a whole program.
Or can she just put
So,
different folders within assignments?
right, yeah, which is another option. Yeah.
What about the increased
Okay.
population coming out of high school, autism, ADHD, ADD, all these
Mm-hmm.
labels or diagnosis, accurate or inaccurate? This helps.
Absolutely, the organization helps.
That target on it.
Then we're applying it my program, the way we were wasn't organized. It was.
Yeah.
It was
No,
consistent.
No, we're not saying it's not
Yeah,
organized.
I'm not taking it.
Yeah, I don't mean.
We did have organization, and we were consistent among our courses within our program.
It's tough to get 260 people to agree on one thing, isn't it? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think, I think that's the point of this. I don't think the goal of creating a template was to reduce the number of clicks,
Right.
right? And I think your point, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name,
I'm Tom.
Tom, is really well taken, that there's a lot of different ways you can organize this, and I think they can all be effective. More than a specific organization type, I think the point is that there be a consistent organization within the course, right? That the point is, and the students will be able to adapt, right? The students will, if the organization theme is transparent, the students will be able to pick up on that, and then that'll recede to the background, and they'll be able to focus on the content, right? Like, I think more important is that you're consistent than if you're consistent one specific way or another.
Go ahead.
I'm not necessarily going to agree with you, James.
Go ahead, no problem. Go ahead.
No, I think in the, what we've seen in the evolution, especially at SUNY, is when we had the original course templates, which is very similar, went very similar to this, we had a lot of consistency and we didn't have the problems that we hear from students about every time I go into a course, it's a different course. I hear that all the time as director of online learning, that it's just, I have to clear a blackboard every time I go into a course. All it's all structured differently, it all looks differently. It's fantastic that if you do that within a program and they're all doing that, but there's gen ed requirements too that they have to go through. So that's
I can agree with Gen Ed's and, what I call, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings, but I call them onesie-twosie courses. It's like the comp, you take your comp and you can do it this way, but when you're in a program, they're all interrelated.
Well, I think just the fact that you, as a program, were intentional and sat down and did a common design is fantastic.
And they're the largest online program on campus, that have been since 1999.
And your point where they have two, I think two is okay. I think once you get past that though, and you have too many different, but there's also things you can do that's consistent, like, and we did our template this way too, where you have the top, above that one line is everything that has to do with the college, all the stuff that's common to the rest of the college.
Yes.
The block where it's modules 1 through 15 is really where we tell the faculty they have the academic freedom to do, design that piece as they want, and then the pieces at the end. So we kind of did the best of both worlds with that. But the arguments that I get and the student calls that we get, that my staff gets on number of problems students have with navigation, it's the number one problem we have on campus because of the inconsistency that we've gone to. The farther we've gotten away from that original template on Lotus Notes, then we went to Angel and everybody got a little more free, and then went to Blackboard and it was Wild West. Especially when it grew so fast that everybody had the freedom to do those things. So we're trying to herd cats back in, but I think the approach that you had is exactly what's going to happen. You have to come to consensus as a campus as to what you want that to look like. You've got to herd the faculty cats back into the same
I
mindset.
call my faculty cats.
You said the magic words, academic freedom, and that was the big rallying cry at our institution was, don't tell me how to structure my course, you don't do that in a face-to-face environment. And Nicole's going to say something along these same lines, aren't you?
Sure.
Awesome.
Well, just kind of thinking of a different perspective too that was brought up, I think with one of the groups over here about timing and making sure that with the online classes, it's very difficult if you run over on time and you need to shift something to a different week. When you do have a very consistent template that is very linear and very laid out, and the student can see it right up front, it puts the ownership and accountability back on them to manage their time properly so they're finishing all of your content in an appropriate amount of time. And then as the instructor, all you're having to do is make any slight adjustments based on your expectation is the student should be able to digest this information in 1 week, and if it doesn't work out, then the next time you teach, you kind of make your adjustments here and there. But it at least can help with holding the student accountable to learning your material. And as an instructor who works very closely with advisors for fully online students, it's really easy for me to see, you know what, in week 6, you had something happen and I care about you outside of school because my students are adult learners like yours. School's not a top priority, it never will be a top priority, and that's fine. What happened and how can I assist you? So it allows me to easily target and kind of provide that student service without taking any extraneous time out of my day to see where are they missing, why are they missing. If I see all of a sudden in a certain week something happened, it's probably not content, it's probably outside of school. So it helps me help them better.
Go ahead, Sophie. Your hand was up and then.
I'm just wondering, this template, is it similar to what SUNY?
This one is very similar to the SUNY template, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if I drop dead, anybody can pick up my course.
Only if you allow us to, which is going to be really difficult if you drop dead. So please don't.
But as an organizational,
Right.
it would make it easier on the organization.
And the other thing is, if we really do want to be a part of Open SUNY, that's another thing that is to think about, is if we want to have similar templates to other schools so that if students are transferring back, a seamless transfer, right, is another thing that we really haven't taken a...
ulterior motives.
No. I'm just saying that these are all more benefits, right? It makes us more accessible to more students if we embrace that.
And program-wide, if we're looking at thinking of the future and how more students coming out of like a high school generation into a 4-year university directly are screenagers, they're on a screen all the time, so therefore online is going to become even more popular. It helps with your growth and sustainability. If all of a sudden your enrollments shoot through the roof one semester, it's easier for you to create a new section of the class online and provide sufficient support from the faculty and support the faculty who probably had to get assigned to it last minute. They at least know the organization that they're expected to put the content into. The students know as well, so the faculty isn't overly stressed with other things outside of learning the material and being able to teach it.
Well, I think as well as we assume the new generation, they're technologically equipped.
Which they're not always.
They're not.
And that was one of the things, right?
And so this would make it, relieve some of the stress.
Right.
Or stress in their life.
Absolutely. And in our programs here, we have quite a few programs that have specialized technology that the students are using for their career. So we want them to have to learn Blackboard once so that they can use their career technology multiple times and really get good at that. We don't want them to have to continue to relearn our Blackboard system, which is one of the things. One of the things, real quick before we sort of wrap up, is Mark brought up, so if I put all my content in here, it's accessible, right? too, and Ginger actually is doing a session right now, I think, and she has one later in the afternoon, about how to make accessible content. So we still have to be aware, just because we choose to use a template doesn't mean that our documents that we put in there or that our videos that we put in there are appropriately accessible for our students. So we need to make sure that there's closed captioning on our videos. We have to make sure that our documents can be read by a screen reader, that we're not using.
How would we know that? How would we know?
We can test all that. Yeah, and there's actually a tab for accessibility in the Oscar rubric too that walks through it. But if you like make a Microsoft Word document and do file save as PDF, then everything should still be accessible in that. Your links should be accessible. It all should be there. But that's something that we should also check. And we will if you get in touch with us. Same with videos. So if you choose to use a YouTube video, some of them are already closed captioned and you have no problem, good to go. Other ones we might need to go in there and edit some of their language because it does it automatically and it doesn't always do it really well. Yeah. So, but so any of the content that we still choose to use, we need to make sure is also accessible. So the template is one step in the direction toward making our courses more accessible for students. So we have
So
a few more questions.
It's
Yeah.
possible that a Word document would not be able to be read by a screen reader?
Absolutely.
Because, why? What would make it unreadable?
There's all sorts of different things that could go wrong depending on, so we actually have Read Write Gold is a program that Alfred State has purchased and all of our students can download it. And it has a screen reader, a PowerPoint reader, and a PDF reader. So they can read pretty much anything. It will read a website top to bottom. Every once in a while, if I'm in something, I'll just pop it on and see what it sounds like. It's the same thing with Blackboard, that it will read things to you. So we have that ability to test it in our office, the Center for Online Learning, and Melanie has it over in the Disability Services area too. So we can test those kinds of things just to see if they're working or whatnot. Go ahead.
You know, and there's a lot of resources available that'll help you make a Word doc more accessible, you know, including accessibility checkers within Word itself. You know, it goes a lot beyond just can you read it with a screen reader, you know, is the contrast right, or the font size is large enough, can you change stuff, do you have semantic structure in it? You know, it's not hard. It's not hard to do. Some of it's detailed. I think Ginger has a workshop later today on it. There's a lot of resources available. The Oscar rubric can help you with that. You know, I think your point is really good that if you have an accessible Word document, you can easily turn it into an accessible PDF.
Right.
The key is having that accessible Word document first.
Right. A lot of times it's what you start with, right?
Right.
And I didn't even realize I was plugging your
No, that's all right.
your session.
That's all right.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that we do sort of have to keep in mind, and we need to make sure that we're checking our content and just making sure that what we are putting out there for our students is also accessible. So it's more than just a one-step process to accessibility. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's something that will keep us going back and revisiting our materials and checking to make sure that they're still there and they're still accessible.
Can I just clarify one thing?
Absolutely.
This gentleman said student navigation is the #1 complaint. Is that for your institution, or is that for Alfred, or is that SUNY-wide, or?
So I'm sure that's probably just there, right? MCC, yeah. So, but I know that our help desk actually gets an incredible number. I mean, I can get the number from Crystal of calls that they log that are related to navigating. So we do have a high number of that. That's one of the things that sort of sparked this as well, was the number of help desk calls.
So whatever we
So.
can do, if that's our #1 issue or complaint, then
Yeah.
whatever we can do to
Help
minimize
alleviate
that.
that, yep. Yeah, I don't know if it's our number one, but it's
Yeah,
certainly.
and just even to piggyback off of that.
You said it's logging errors.
Yeah, it's too much. That's on
Go ahead.
I don't consider that.
I was at the university, we're in the middle of a migration from Pearson E College into Blackboard 9.1, and our help desk, the #1 was not only navigation for students, but for faculty as well.
Yeah.
They would put content there and not know how to find it.
Right.
Because they would bury it so
I
deeply.
just had this the other day,
So-
somebody
Yeah.
couldn't find it, discover, and I couldn't find where I put it.
Yeah.
So I put it out to the class, and the class helped me, I said,
Yeah.
"Thanks."
You're right,
We're like, I would do trainings and faculty would push back against me, why does the left-hand navigation have to be the same? I don't their freedom. And I said, well, your peers are putting stuff in there and they can't find it. When we started slowly piloting Blackboard and finding what those bugs would be, they were like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, Blackboard is blessing and a curse all at once because there's 45 ways to get to one piece of information.
Yeah.
If you bury it just right, have you
Right, find the hundred
searching, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Just briefly, can
Yep.
you explain how you push this out to faculty?
Absolutely. So at an institutional level, so I started here in September, and it had already been rolled out in 2 pilots, and yeah, 2 pilots. So the first was the ad hoc committee that created it. It was mostly faculty with, I believe, I don't know what Ellen's position used to be honest.
She was a
Contract person, okay. Basically an instructional designer is what her role was in that group. And then Jason, who was the instructional designer at the time. So they were the ad hoc committee. They created the template. Those who were in the committee were the first to pilot it. And then after that, they opened it up to anyone else who wanted to pilot it. And that was a large group. I'm not sure exactly the number. Then it was released. The provost is very involved in the process. She is very supportive of it. So she rolled it out, I believe, opening remarks last January was the first time and we are implementing it for summer. So right now people have the option, and we've actually had great participation in it, and we've had people stopping in our office saying, how am I going to make my course fit this? And it's actually good because it's sort of making us look at all of our content, how we're delivering it, how to chunk content. And like I said, it was a great exercise for me. I actually enjoyed it. I'm kind of nerdy like that.
So are you pushing it out into
So-
all empty shells or not?
So no, this is only for our online courses, not our campus-based courses. They can choose to use it, but they don't have to. So as of summer, we're starting, it will be automatically populated in all summer templates and the future for everyone
I
to
think the
work
best
with.
thing you did was renaming them from week 1 to module 1.
Yes, so and that's something that, right, that people love because we have a 3-week course, which is 15 days. We also have our full semester, which is 15 weeks. So now with 15 modules, we can really help to ensure our seat time and our consistency across our shortened classes along with our full semester classes. So we can take those 15 modules and either use them for a 3-week class or for a 15-week class and know that our content is very comparable.
This is my first time ever teaching online, this winter session. And,
You started in winter session?
yeah. And I never touched Blackboard until Blackboard Wednesdays 10 weeks ago.
Yep.
And it set me up for success.
Great.
And the feedback that
But
Joe has.
I've never had the experience to be able to design my own and stuff. I followed the template. So as far as that, it set me up for success.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something good. The feedback that Joe has received from his students, he shared some of it with me, is phenomenal. I mean, they're loving it, they're loving the consistency, they're loving the interaction, and some of them actually talked about your interaction with them and how they're getting to know you. So the elements that he's put into his course, maybe you can present next time, and how you use the template successfully.
Well, I support this with the social media side,
Okay, let's get to
LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Yeah,
That's all tied back to this to get the engagement.
absolutely. So I'm happy to continue talking about this, but I have to let you go on to your next session. And absolutely, my cards are up front, so if anyone wants to take one or needs one, and I'm completely open to chatting about rearranging content or making new content or what we need to do to make your content accessible. So come and see us.
Good session.
Yay.